All right. Welcome to the Finance and Governance Advisory Committee meeting of the Muswell Shire Council being held at the Census and Community Centre, Market Lane, Muswell, on Tuesday, August 2026. I declare the meeting open at 4:20. Please note that this meeting is being live streamed and will be made available on the Council's website. But I have the acknowledgement of country. Councillor.
Thank you. Muswell Shire Council is proud to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we work and live. We pay our respects to the First Nations leaders and elders past, present and emerging, who are the keepers of history, traditions, knowledge and culture. Commit to working in collaboration with traditional owners in a spirit of reconciliation and partnership. As we meet today, let us reflect on the knowledge and stories that have been shared on this land for thousands of generations and commit to walking together in a spirit of respect and understanding.
Thank you. Okay, all council commissioners. Okay, apologies. We have received an apology from Councillor Barry. I don't think there are any other further apologies. Could I have a move in a second for the accept the apology of Councillor Martin? Secretary Councillor Dunn. The discussion, put the motion on the apology. Okay, carry not declare it unanimous. Have confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. The minutes of Finance and Governance meeting held on the 14th of July 2026 as listed in the agenda. The recommendation is that the minutes of the Finance and Governance meeting held on the 14th of July 2026, a copy of which has been distributed to all members, be taken as read, confirmed as a true record. Do I have a mover? Councillor Morris, Councillor Martin. Discussion. I now put the motion. All those in favour of the motion, raise your hand. All those against? They're passed. Unanimously of those councillors. So, there any pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest? Councillor Dunn.
I have an insignificant non-pecuniary pecuniary interest in item 6.1 as my nieces attend that school. Goodness, that's a hard word. Thank you.
And Councillor Morris.
Thank you. I have a significant pecuniary interest in item 6.2 for the Christmas Spectacular, as I'm the general manager of the radio station putting the event on.
Morris. Any others? No. Any business arising? No business arising.
No, there is.
Sorry.
I think there is there?
I have one.
All right. Yeah, sorry, not one. 5.1. Recommendation is that the Finance and Governance Committee notes the information contained in the report. This is Councillor Morris. This is the one that you're. This is no, that's 5.
I'm 6.2. I beg your pardon.
6.1.
It's just 5.1. Now I'm
5.1. This is the Muswell Local Government Area Division of Mental Health Support Services. The recommendation is that Finance and Governance Committee notes the information contained in the report. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Dunn. Have a seconder? Yeah. Councillor Gray. Any discussion? No wish to speak to the report? I therefore put the motion. All those in favour of the motion, raise your hand.
Sorry.
Sorry, we'll get this out of the first out of the Councillor Morris. Declare that motion passed.
We are on finance and governance, aren't we?
Yeah. That was 5.1.
I can recall reading 5.1. I can't see it in this current paper though.
it's page 13.
13. Thank you. That's the one. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item number 6.1, the awarding of community grant for contribution by the price of 3 powder for a colour run. Recommendation is that the Finance and Governance Committee approves community grant of $934.25 to the Phosphor High School parents, says stage version, was the cost of conducting the 2026 Well-being Day colour run. Do I have a mover in a second? Councillor Morris, Councillor Gray. Anyone wish to speak to the report?
No.
No questions, I therefore will put some. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Declare it passed unanimously by those authorised councillors present. Councillor Gardner, return. Paul. Move on to 6.2, which is the awarding of sponsorship for the 2020 Christmas Spectacular. The recommendation is that the Finance and Governance Committee approves the sponsorship of the $6,000 plus GST to Radio Hunter Valley 2NM and Tower FM towards the staging and promotion of the 2026 Glencore Upper Hunter Christmas Spectacular. Do I have a mover and a second? Councillor Maharjan, Councillor Dunn. Anyone wish to speak to the report? I only just have one comment. With regards to commercial enterprises now sponsoring on, I know we're not really supporting the commercial enterprise, but I think it possibly should be listed as a co-sponsor, like to as a sponsor as well. Because we don't want to be donating money to a business entity. You know what I say? Like, I know they organise it, but just the wording, possibly the wording is important to make it more clearer that we're basically co-sponsoring something that to an end case. You know where I'm coming from.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. You just read the report and it looks like it's there, they do, we're just, you know. All right. Any other discussion? I'll put the motion, all those in favour? Declare passed unanimously of those councillors authorised. The vote. All right, we move on to 6.3, relevant grant. The recommendation is that the Finance and Governance Committee notes the information contained in this report. I have a move from the secretary for this report. Councillor Morris. Councillor Maharjan. Mr. Speaker, report. Councillor Morris.
Thank you. I very much welcome this report and the changes that are being suggested in it to reduce the risk that's involved with the grants. Take particular note to having projects that are shovel ready, which I think is a fantastic idea. Once again, just to mitigate the risks of and being more prepared for the grants as they become available. This report and set of instructions goes a long way to protecting council in the future.
Councillor Dunn.
I like the idea of the grant management software. It would just be more of a checks and balances for us. And do we know what the cost is?
I have some comments on one. And short comment. That's Councillor Dunn.
But worthwhile, I know.
No. Yes. Sorry.
Councillor Dunn, another one.
Oh, no.
We haven't investigated
All right.
specific, so I'm understanding when you thought of it as part of our digital transformation strategy. The option is what's going to be the most efficient for council.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, my comments are with regards to additional big changes that I perceive. I'd like to see that in the report it discusses that the assessment will be made of potential grant applications and decisions made whether we can fit it in a timeline, we can fit in the resources, and all the rest of it. The concern I have there is there might be decisions made to not apply for stuff that potentially councillors might not agree with. So I would like to see in the reporting back to councillor Laws that the ones that are not agreed to not is also be reported back, so that we're not potentially driving the wrong behaviour, in that we're not having projects not done because, oh, that's too hard, don't do that now. But potentially, as a council or as council Laws, we might think that we might have to allocate additional resources to ensure that project actually happens. I don't think that if definitive decision should be made by excluding councils. I think councils should be involved in that process. That's one thing. The other one was with regards to project controls and they're talking about whole points and all the rest of it. I would like to see our actual applications to reflect the timelines that we're proposing for the projects, so that that thought process happens at that stage. If we're going to make the decision that we're either going to do or not do a job, if we're going to do a job, I would like to see the actual planning process for timing and costing at the application stage, so that work happens up front. That's actually is a project management process or front end loading, which is very much a project management tool these days. The other one is, well, talking about was with regard to Councillor Dunbar, I potentially disagree with regards to grant management software. In that, I don't think we need another lot of software for our council officers when project management software basically does exactly the same thing.
Fair enough.
So the grant management, but with regards to whole points, which have something to do with management of money and all the rest of it, that can be put within the project management timelines, and they can be highlighted within that software. You don't have to have another software other than the project management software to have a grant management software, if you know what I mean.
Fair enough.
The system's already in the project management. That's all the comments.
Sorry, I'd like to get a clarification on your first point again. Didn't quite understand.
With regards to the way the report reads, it says council officers will make an assessment of projects, whether they've got the time, resources to do them, and then they're not applied or not applied. All I'm saying is the ones where the decisions are not to apply, council Laws still would like to have it reported to us that has occurred and how that and why that has occurred, so that we can potentially make a judgment call if additional resources need to be directed by council Laws for that can be done.
Does that not become cumbersome? We'd have to have every grant reported to us then. The grant opportunity. That would be very cumbersome.
Thank you, Mr. Catherine. I was thinking, we're going to capture those comments, Michelle, further recording. Yeah, thank you for that. It's an issue that the grants meetings are very good. So we've got to have a 2-weekly cycle of grant reports that come to the committee meetings. And then again, if anything additional is needed to be reported to council, that can be reported through the ordinary council meeting process. So we do try very hard to make sure councils are approving the grants as much as we possibly can to fit in within the grant timeframes.
I think Councillor Scull's point was, though, that any grants that we're not prepared for, he wants them presented to council anyway. Is that what you were basically saying?
We can settle a limit on monetary value, if you like, of a grant application. But let's say there's a grant potentially out there for the construction of additional female facilities at Ivory. And we've only got 6 months to do it or 8 months to do it. We might, council officers might decide that we don't have the time or the resources to actually do it or address it. If that happens, I think councillors would like to know, should be done, but should know.
Generally, that's reported in the grants report.
Yeah.
So we completely understand.
Yeah, all I'm saying is in the wording as it is in the report, that actually it's just another line, another paragraph which says when projects are it is decided that we do not have the time or resources to achieve it, that actually is reported.
If I could, worth experience, we just had lots of shovel-ready projects.
Yes.
So we don't miss out on any grant opportunities, which is pretty much the case now, is it?
Thank you, Matt. Yes, it generally is the case that, also our law council is that, there's not the money that was around for major, projects like there was in, say, 22-24, when we had resources for regions at 6 million a year or 10 million a year. Basically, that funding has dried up and we're down around, smaller projects these days. So they can be less, dependent on, approvals and other things as well. So I think it's a better situation, as it is at the moment. And, going back to the chair's, comment, I'm happy to put a section in the report saying why we didn't apply, and I don't think it's going to be too burdensome, and just a short paragraph for each grant. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, well, the only concern I had is that councils would introduce projects that was too complicated, and that would give too many options not to apply for a project. In fact, I think it would be counterproductive on what councillors want to do. We want to give staff more opportunity to apply for grants, not give them the opportunity, or give them a reason to not apply for those grants.
One of the challenges of making a presentation to council from the grants perspective is, the grant might close in a week's time, but we wouldn't want to leave it to this meeting to make a decision about whether we apply, because there's a lot of paid work, that happens before we make the application. So we want to be sort of on our way. The only chance really for councillors to have a say might be for a grant coming up, for example, at the end of September and or the end of August even. And one of those is the Bush Builders grant. And so there's more time available for that. But let's say, for example, the Streetwise grant, which is due Wednesday next week. We wouldn't want to come to here and to talk about it. We're putting forward Denman Overley Street for that grant because that's a street that could benefit by having 40 kilometres an hour speed limit. And so, there's just some challenges in presenting you with grant information, basically. But I try to be as transparent as possible.
If I can, I might forget it to the councillors, but we don't want to hold the process up. We'll be involved in the process of applying or not applying for grants just because council have a say in it. I think we're pretty happy with the process at the moment. And certainly, I think to speak on behalf of all council there, we're pretty happy with the job you do.
Very happy.
I think the council.
I'm happy to receive through our general manager any suggestions about grants because some of you only know too well. Sometimes it's easy to miss a grant opportunity. I try to see as much as possible what's out there. But if you do see a grant you're particularly interested in, please let our general manager know that I'm happy to receive that information.
I think the
And,
council.
there's quite a lot of grants around that that look good. We are not eligible to apply for because they're not for profit, for example. Or there's grants available at the moment for Western Sydney and Murray Darling. And of course, we can't apply for those grants either.
I think the council officer my issue with exceeded with history for we can actually state when we haven't applied for why we haven't. That's all I'm basically asking is to know, like to know which ones we have not applied, not necessarily and basically why in a sense it is in the report. Yes, so
I just want to point out as well, which something people possibly don't know. I know that when I was going through and assessing grant applications, there are times where you go so far through before you find you're not eligible. But then Ivan's always reached out to other groups in the community that would be eligible, and they've already started the ball rolling. That takes time, and it's appreciated.
Have the motion. And, the motion. All those in favour? Very pass. All right, 6.4. Workforce profile report. The recommendation is that the information exchange report is noted. Do I have a move and a second for that motion? Councillor Duff, Creighton, Councillor Dunn. Anyone wish to speak for the report? Councillor Dunn.
Okay, just a couple of questions. Looking at the ratio of permanent to part-time or casual employees, will there now be more of an effort to offer full-time positions to staff
Yes.
if they wish?
Thank you. We are looking at that process. Our people will be putting a report together just on that matter.
Okay. The second one is in regards to the high turnover of staff. Is there a percentage of the staff who come in on work?
A small percentage, Councillor Dunn, yes.
Only a small percentage.
It's not a large percentage. We are fortunate we are often the first employer for engineers and those sorts of roles. As we've been very successful in that, they've generally stayed for around 5-6 years, where some stayed on as 20 years before moving on. So that is something that is characteristic of the council.
Yeah. And thirdly, I noted that council lose a lot of employees, lose a number of employees due to more lucrative offers elsewhere. Is there something else that we could do to entice them to stay?
We're always trying to make the workforce better. We have engaged a company, MasterTech, to look at salary progression and making sure it's transparent and fair across the organisation. Getting those balances are very important because I think balance creates dissatisfaction elsewhere. So it's very difficult. We have a lot of employees who live out of the Shire, professional and technical employees. So try to provide reasonable workplace options for them as well. We know that this is a great Shire, great place to work, great place to live. Making sure that our teams are strong and putting in place initiatives that attract and retain great people. The other thing is for Muswell Shire Council is, particularly in operational roles, is traineeships. They're hugely important for us. They've been greatly successful over a number of years. In some areas, for example, in water and wastewater operators, you simply, for the 85 local government utilities, water utilities in the state, which are all regional and rural councils, it is almost impossible to attract those sorts of skills. So we just got them in-house. We've been very successful.
I've just looked at different positions that have been advertised and the wage that accompanies them, and I often, how on earth could these people survive in this Shire on those wages?
Thanks, Councillor. So this MasterTech initiative is brought before Council.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I can recall not all that long ago, this council approved some purchase of very expensive software that's going to go a long way to helping staff retention, yet there's no mention of that process in here at all, or how the software is going to be used to get that 22% down even further.
Thanks, Councillor. So it's cornerstone. So it's just in the early stages of implementation, but this is really an initial report produced annually by the touch. I'm very grateful to them for doing it. But in the future, Cornerstone Demand will provide those sorts of statistics.
Thank you.
Information automatically, including the around the
Thank you.
I'll just a couple of points I'm thinking. 57.28 roles unfilled. That's a fairly large proportion of our workforce. Percentage size of it, unfortunately. Find that a bit of a worry. The other one was there's a line in the report which mentions some of the level of roles required for enabling work, which is not defined. I would suggest that the enabling workers, enabling employees that we need, like we talk about HR and that type of thing, that we need to service our additional employees should be part of the original organisation of additional employees. But it's flagged as a possible risk. Like I would say, we say we're going to need another 20 operations staff, but which will need another HR person. That means we need 21 staff. Doesn't mean we need 20 staff, we need 21 staff. And the way it's worded in the report doesn't indicate.
Thanks.
It's a risk.
Thanks, Councillor. With regards to the employees that we need to recruit, we are going through a massive recruitment drive, particularly since the organisational restructure. And you'll notice in the report, we do have more employees now, considerably more employees now over the last 3 years than we have had. And in relation to the matter of HR, Councillor Scott, we're also reviewing the numbers to make sure that we try and meet as much as we possibly can the requirements, both externally but also internally as well. So with HR, we are looking at that as well.
Make a motion. Put that motion, all those in favour, put their hand. They're passed and now one of those authorised council president. 6.5. ONCD Mining Regions Cities Conference in Chile on the 28th to the 30th of October 2026. The recommendation is that the council approves Mayor Jeffrey and the General Manager or Delegate to attend the 2026 OECD Conference of Mining Cities and Regions from the 28th to 30th of October 2026. And I am not going to try and pronounce it. Antofagasta, Chile.
You just did anyway.
And I was geography, but I don't know where. And Antofagasta, I guess it's north in the. It says
Major mining centre.
yeah, right the north. Yes. Thank you for Mr. We have a motion. Do I have a move for the second? Councillor Morris, Councillor Mahajan. Discussion. Councillor Morris.
I would just like to congratulate you yes, for the recognition, the now international recognition of the work we are doing has been is going to be appreciated at a conference of this magnitude, and to be invited as the keynote speaker speaks volumes to the amount of work that we've done in the area in preparation for post mining. So congratulations to all, in fact, but specifically to the Mayor.
I'd just like to reiterate your comment, Councillor Morris. The Organisation of Economic Cooperation and Development is a major role to build with. And I would say that there's never been a local government mayor and to be a keynote speaker before. The work that Shaylee is doing and the work that Jeff is doing are obviously having a huge impact. This area in Chile is going through a lot of change itself. And I think the invitation is not just to provide a keynote speech, but provide some advice for them for the future. I think it's an immensely important initiative and one that I think council should be very proud of.
Indeed.
I'd like to make a comment. Okay.
It's all right. I'm just really that person got invited. It is genuinely an effort from the whole team. We couldn't have done. We can't do what we do now. Of course, I'll be careful what I say, but it's very difficult to do it in a council that's cohesive as this one, or where councillors and staff haven't got the relationship they've got, or where councils between them haven't got the relationship we've got. Certainly is as cohesive a council and inclusive a council as I have seen. And these things can't happen without that support. And sometimes it only just doesn't take much or many not to give that support for it to all fall apart. It's not the case with this council, and it's the council that's being recognised. I'm sitting with mouthpiece.
Yeah, I'd like to know the nature of the conference is invite only. So this is like doctors having a holiday in Hawaii. This is actually a working conference. I think there's also read there's only 100 invitees. I would also suggest to your deputy or ops leader, we're going to get maximum value out of it. They better be the best networker you can find in council staff. I would suggest because there will be a lot of people, a lot of other organisations there who have done stuff, and we should be welcoming them like you would believe. So I agree with that. My only one thing with regards to the report is I would like at least the back of the envelope estimate of cost.
My apologies for not including that if there are some notes there on the whole.
I can understand that now, but at least the back of the envelope would have been cost.
So they provide us €2.5 which that will wrap. I think the total cost for the trip will probably be around $7,000.
That's all. I think the report should have basically had at least an envelope.
My apologies
Estimated.
for that. It was that.
Yeah, $1.74 per euro right now.
We'll do this in return on investment.
Okay, so we have a motion. We'll put that motion. All those in favour, raise your hand. Decree to pass. Declare it passed unanimously by 8 votes. Authorised vote. Next one is 6.6, which is the grant. Council Green update, August 2026. The recommendation of the Finance and Government Committee notes the information contained in the report and of course council staff review and apply for funding opportunities identified. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Dart. Councillor Gray. Anyone wish to speak to the court, including the officer who offered it? Any councillors? Councillor Dart.
I'd just like to say I think this is a wonderful opportunity because we do actually have a large number of multicultural people in the Shire. I just wanted to know who exactly is organising the festival if we receive the grant. Thanks.
General Manager.
Oh, sorry. General Manager. Sorry.
We made the application because John O'Brien from Upper Hunter was away at the time. But to make the application, we had to partner with a community group. So we partnered with Upper Hunter and the inbuilt tie-in with the rest of people grant that they've got from council and other places. But the actual event, which is a multicultural event, will be organised by both council and us. So yeah, it all goes well. But I'm not holding my breath. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, I therefore put the motion. Sorry. Oh, Councillor Ward. Sorry.
EV, please.
Oh, this is about additionally EVs, collectations.
Yeah, so that we're still looking into what's possible and one of the challenges is charges. But I believe that's been addressed in any way. The council staff, for example, is fleet charge.
Yeah, to be so two fleet charges, Mr. Chair. And investigate not progressing the past charges. But I think this grant will come back with further information relates to fleet instead of kick off start funding. Yeah. So we'll come back to some further information if we can.
That is like, sorry, I think the issue is charges if you get split.
Yes.
All right. Thanks. Any other discussion? No? I'll be put the motion. All those in favour, raise your hand. There's a pass unanimously by those voting councillors present. 6.7, the monthly financial report for July 2026. The recommendation is the Finance and Government Committee notes the financial report for the month ending the 31st of July 2026. Do I have a move and seconder for the motion? Councillor Morris. It's done. Does anyone wish to speak to the report? Councillor Morris.
Thank you. The new format's going to take a bit of getting used to on how to read that, but we'll get there, I'm sure. I do have a question, and I am uncertain as to whether this would be better if served in closed committee or not. Advice will be taken there. But with the projects that we've currently got running, what's our potential exposure for an underlying deficit with the current situation on these numbers here, but without knowing what our buffer is effectively?
Here, the people coming shortfalls and cost escalations that
Yeah, or the underlying deficit with the amount of grants that we potentially, well, not potentially, have got coming in. The difference with the bit that we've got to be responsible for, basically.
at the moment, all of the projects are fully funded through grant money or federal funding side of where they're already communicated shortfalls. And yeah, those projects include data center and others. But we try and make sure that the projects are fully funded, they can improve.
Thank you.
Gentlemen,
Thanks. And also council, in council budgets, this council has the practice of not putting any projects in the. So it's, for example, with a project, if we've got $60 million of our own funding and we need another $20 million of grant funding, if that grant funding doesn't exist at the moment, we don't put the project in until that's the case.
Yeah.
That said, though, there are always risks. We've got a report in the next committee meeting with the Denver Centre water pipeline, which we've worked extensively with the contractor to try and make sure our risk is as small as possible. But there is no doubt with those sorts of projects, there is some that Mr. Council.
Yeah,
Chris Morris,
that's it. Thank you. No.
anyone else? Well, the other comment I have is with regards to the water and the sewage funds variances. We seem to be carrying these variances on a regular basis. And are the variances actually going to be ever made up, or are they in a situation where because of low usage or whatever, we're not going to recover that money? And add on to that, and if that's the case, should we not be changing our budget predictions?
Yeah. Thank you very much, Councillor Scholes. In relation to that, that's a matter of timing. It'd be.
No, I'm not talking about the timing ones. I'm talking about the.
Because we have made, I mean, there's been no losses last years. We've been gaining small allocations to our reserves year on year. We are, council, extremely conscious of the fact of ensuring our services and fees and charges are affordable. So there's that balance whilst making sure that we are able to gain enough revenue to continually build our reserves. It is a concern, but it's something we continually try and improve.
Yeah, well, you know how much I want to build the reserves. My only other question is just a clarification. In the future fund, there's a variance with regards to the interaction with the general fund. I want to understand what that was about.
Yes, thank you for the question. As part of the changes in the reporting format, one of the changes is the actual account classifications. We've moved that to be directly aligned now with the reporting that we do for the annual financial statements, which is prescribed by the government accounting practice, code of accounting practice. So there's transfer from the general fund as part of the SRB to the future fund. Which creates that variance and it's classified as in that line. We'll look to separate that out going forward. As we're still refining this format to have that separately disclosed, so it's clearer and transparent.
I hope this format will be better for councillors.
Yes, we try to focus on the pertinent information and in a transparent and easy to read format. Whereas we're working on improvement.
Thank you. Councillor Morris, you look perplexed.
It's a question for the next item on the not knowing procedures. Am I able to call a motion to go into a closed committee meeting to ask some questions at all?
I can still call as chair, I can still call the council meeting, I believe.
Yes, I'd get to that. I'm asking the votes of the committee to go into closed.
Yeah, it was the comments. This one. So, with regards to where you want to go, Councillor Morris, is it okay to address this particular?
It'll be a question without notice, effectively.
Yeah, but,
Oh, won't be related to
can
this.
we vote on 6.7?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, we're not going to have to.
No.
Okay, we'll follow the motion. 6.7, all those in favour? There, passed by all those councillors authorised votes. Suggestion from Councillor Morris that we say putting forward a motion that we go into closed council.
Thank you.
Do I have a second then? Councillor Mahajan. I'll put that to councillors or go into closed council. Chair passed by those councillors. Let's do so. We 2026. So I've been this meeting for